Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. A pretty large drug find in Trinidad and Tobago resulting from far-reaching intelligence collaboration. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 22nd May 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived are new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. Police have seized over $234 million in cocaine and arrested 3 people in what is being hailed by the Police Service of Trinidad and Tobago as the largest drug bust to have occurred on land. The find was made in Chaguaramas on Thursday. TV6's Alicia Boucher has the details.
On Saturday afternoon, Commissioner of Police Ella Harewood Christopher revealed that through collaboration, over 168 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of $234,457,344 were seized during a multi-agency intelligence-led operation on May 18th in Chaguaramas. The commissioner said, quote, "We have worked closely with our regional and international partners, and our joint efforts resulted in what can be described as the largest seizure of cocaine ever in Trinidad and Tobago. We will continue to partner with our law enforcement counterparts in the United States to wage a forceful and relentless war on the regional drug trafficking networks and those who profit from the illegal drug trade." End quote. According to the Commissioner, an intelligence unit in the TTPS received information in March 2023 that a large shipment of cocaine was headed to the United States of America. Further information led to an operation being conducted on Thursday, where officers noticed a black Suzuki SUV with 3 people inside pulling into the car park of a hotel in Chaguaramas around 1:20 p.m. Officers are said to have received information that a vehicle was carrying a large amount of cocaine, causing police to intercept the vehicle and conduct a search. In addition to the drug find, police also recovered a Glock pistol on the ground of the vehicle by the driver's feet. The 3 people have been arrested and investigations are continuing. Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Parliament's lower house in Antigua and Barbuda has approved legislation to amend the Criminal Prosecutions Service Act to temper the effects of the recent Wayne Worrell habeas corpus ruling. ABS's Jamie J. Roger reports.
The amendment is occasioned by certain developments which show that it is not practical for the police to always obtain the written authority of the DPP to charge an individual.
Attorney General the Honorable Frederick Benjamin, referring to a recent judgment that ordered the authorities to release accused Wayne Worrell, since the police had not obtained written permission from the DPP before instituting criminal proceedings against Worrell. That requirement, which the 2017 Criminal Prosecution Service Act created, is what the government is now seeking to reverse.
Under the old act, Mr. Speaker, which we're going to amend now, it states that the Director of Public Prosecutions must give a fiat in all matters criminal in the state. That, Mr. Speaker, is not practicable. For example, if someone is seen throwing missiles, or someone is speaking bad words, or someone misconduct himself disorderly, you've got to get the fiat of the DPP in order to bring a charge like that.
The amendment also seeks to retroactively validate criminal matters the police instituted in contravention of the law.
Criminal proceedings instituted by or in the name of the Commissioner of Police, by Officer of the Royal Post of Antigua and Barbuda, or Officer of the ONDCP, from the date of the commencement of this act and up to and including April 30th, 2023, are deemed to have been instituted with authorization of the DPP and for the purposes of this act are deemed to have been validly instituted.
Opposition members blamed the Attorney General for creating the error and said they will not support key parts of the amendment bill.
I would not want to correct it with another bad law. And so I think we have to look for a good way to correct the problem that we now have. And what is proposed now is not a good way.
I cannot support the bill which is seeking to retrospectively validate incompetent inefficiency on the part of the Attorney General. I cannot, especially while people, Mr. Speaker, remains up in the prison, remanded unlawfully, as this bill is being presently debated in this House today. It is not right, it is not just. It is absolutely absurd.
I honestly, in good conscience, cannot support this bill based on, Mr. Speaker, what has happened, especially the people who have suffered under this situation.
Prime Minister John Magasin Brown chides the opposition for arguments he says amounts to making a mountain out of a molehill.
No one has been able to provide any evidence that anyone, as a result of that amendment that was made in 2017, was wrongfully incriminated. The issue is a procedural issue in which the law reflected that the police did not have the legal authority to bring those charges, but in reality, in practice, they were bringing the charges. What we are seeking to do now is to cure that situation to avoid any litigation arising from that error in the law.
Jamie J. Roche, ABS News.
The Bahamian Prime Minister addresses the need to improve on the ease of doing business in the Bahamas.
While the argument continues to be made for the government to do more to improve the ease of doing business in the Bahamas. After all, it's key to creating an environment conducive to investment. Speaking to the issue during his Business Outlook address in Cat Island this morning, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honourable Philip Davis, says his administration is exploring this possibility.
We allow business license applicants to receive a notional license until their business license can be formalized. If one applies for license renewal, for example, and the application is tied to whether one's taxes are current or not, I want to address that issue to make the process more conducive to commercial activity. So if there's a question about what is owed, either in your national insurance contribution or your real property tax or your business license fees, then talk about it, but don't close the business.
Now, the Prime Minister's recommendation follows a recent notice issued by the Department of Inland Revenue advising that come next month it will have the power to sell properties, commercial, resident, and foreign-owned vacant land whose real property tax has remained unpaid for 7 months. The only exception to the rule, Bahamian owner-occupied property.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Attorney General, Ryan Pinder, comes down heavy on the United Nations to take the lead to provide a framework for stability and rule of law in strife-torn Haiti.
The island nation has long descended into turmoil with gang violence and political instability, the order of the day.
Madam President, it seems that the multilateral institutions around the world and the big countries around the world have abandoned their obligation to bring stability in the country of Haiti and have left it to our region of small island developing states with limited capacity and our own domestic challenges to marshal the situation. That is not appropriate in a global and international environment. That's right. They need to step up to the plate on this issue, Madam President. Where is the United Nations? There's a humanitarian crisis, and they're not there.
Pinder, who recently returned to the capital from the UN's Universal Periodic Review in Geneva, Switzerland, was today leading off debate on a resolution to establish a parliamentary committee on human rights.
Our full report of the working group on the Universal Periodic Review is due to be submitted tomorrow. So it's a continuous process. It's about a 3-week process just to get to the final report. And that doesn't even include what you have to do after the fact. The 233 recommendations of member states, that's how many are in the final report, will be examined by the Bahamas, and we will provide responses in due time, but no later than the 54th session of the Human Rights Council, which is to be heard later this year.
St. Lucian labor professionals continue to examine the potential impact of artificial intelligence on the workforce. Here is Jason Darius of the DBS News World with more.
Artificial intelligence is a simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems. As the world develops and advancements in technology continue, artificial intelligence is becoming more integrated into everyday tasks, particularly in the manufacturing sector. This reality has, however, seen a massive impact on the labor force, with companies opting for the route of computerized options, ultimately saving labor costs and having a more streamlined operation. Human resource professional Goretti Paul at a recently held HR forum highlighted the fact that with a modern labor force comes the challenge of learning to work with various forms of artificial intelligence to ultimately have the most productive labor environment.
I think with everything else, there is always concern because it's a new environment and unfortunately, when things that are introduced with positive intentions, we have a way of turning them around and using them in ways that are, not so good. So we do anticipate that there will be some challenges.
Paul insists that one area of particular concern is the use of AI in academics, which calls into question individual competencies.
One of the issues that personally I am concerned about is the value of our academic certifications. At this point, AI can write your papers, can write your dissertation, can do your assignments. So how do I know that you have the competence that you say you have when you've graduated from a course? That is an area that we as HR professionals have to factor now. So we have to find other ways in terms of how we recruit, how we onboard, how we train to ensure that persons have the required skills to fit into the workplace. But we can't avoid AI. It's there, it's not going anywhere. We have to embrace it. We have to find ways to make it work for us.
St. Lucia, like the rest of the world, continues to grapple with the challenges of a rapidly changing labor landscape as professionals continue to ensure a competent workforce with the inclusion of modern technology. For the DBS News World, Jason Darius reporting.
In the meantime, one secondary school principal, Neil Fontenelle, has expressed concern over the possible leak of the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate Mathematics Examination. In a press release issued on Wednesday, May 17th in St. Lucia, the Caribbean Examinations Council CXC indicated that the exam paper, which was written on that day, had been leaked. DBS's Zane Romulus tells us more.
Caribbean Examinations Council CXC has launched an investigation to determine whether the CSEC Mathematics Paper 2 exam was leaked. The regional examination was held on Wednesday, May 17th at 9 a.m., and it was later revealed that some students were able to access the paper prior to the sit-in. Fingers have pointed to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Guyana as the possible sources of the leak. The Minister of Education in St. Vincent and Grenadines, Curtis King, said based on investigations, thus far there is no information to indicate that the breach originated in his country. Guyana's Education Minister, meanwhile, has dismissed suggestions that the leak originated there. President of the St. Lucia Secondary Schools Principals Association, Neil Fontenelle, worries about the possible implications for St. Lucian students.
I sincerely hope that it does not affect the performance of my students and their grading. When I say my students, I'm speaking generally now for our St. Lucian students, really. Considering that the investigation is ongoing, I'm aware. I sincerely hope that St. Lucia is not part of that leak and that the information was not disseminated to St. Lucia. And I hope if that is the case, that our students are not adversely affected.
St. Lucia's Ministry of Education has yet to make a statement on the matter. An education official, however, has indicated that a statement would be issued following a meeting with CXC officials on Friday, where more details would be obtained from the examination body. Depending on how far the leak extended, there is a possibility students may have to redo this exam.
If in fact that leak is very widespread, there will be no option, I imagine, than a resit. It may be maybe later this year, or there's a January sitting. I really hope that it does not come to that. Another possible option I'm thinking is the use of the People One, because even during COVID, we know that there were People Ones utilized to grade the students. But in all, I really hope that it doesn't come to anything like this.
CXC has said that the matter is being treated with the highest urgency and has promised a definitive statement once the investigation is completed. For the TVS News World, I am St. Romulus.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbards.hardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.